Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy podcast. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a newer, stronger foundation essential in creating your meaningful legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. As much as you like this podcast, I'm certain that you're going to love the book that I just released on Amazon, Fuel Your Legacy, The 9 Pillars to Build a Meaningful Legacy. I wrote this to share with you the experiences that I had while I was identifying my identity, how I began to create my meaningful legacy, and how you can create yours. You're going to find this book on Kindle, Amazon, and as always on my website, samknickerbocker.com. Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy show. This is a new segment. Super pumped about this. We have our first guest. She's incredible. Trista Harrison. I was on a podcast a few weeks ago, recording an episode, and decided, how could I add more value to the people that I care about most, my clients, the people that I'm working with, trying to help them grow their business, grow their income, and get put up in a position where they're going to be happier and really have the time freedom that they want and the ability to build their legacy. So I work with them on the financial side. I thought, man, what better way to add value and help them grow their business than give them a shot on my episode, on my podcast. So now, and this is coming out on Wednesday, but every Wednesday you should be seeing or hearing rather a podcast of one of Sam's clients. So if that interests you, if you want to find out, hey, what type of people work with Sam? Why do they work with Sam? Like, he's kind of a jerk, whatever. This is the opportunity. If you think, hey, I want to be one of those people, you're more than welcome to. But Trista is incredible. But actually, her whole family is. I haven't met her daughter. I shouldn't say that her whole family, but I assume that her daughter is incredible just because I know her parents. Married to an incredible guy, Ken, who we'll have on. But Trista is basically a coach, a fitness coach, nutrition coach. And she's actually, I didn't know this about her. I just knew because all I saw her was on Instagram, Facebook. And then when I actually met with her and met with her husband, found out she's been in the military for like 8 years. She's a sergeant, drill sergeant, right?
Yes. Actually, I was a drill sergeant for 8 years. I'm still in the Army and have been in for 18 years. Oh,
18 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I can't imagine ever even going to like drill or anything like that. But then this super powerful woman is the one who's just making you feel like crap about yourself. Not really. They help you get better and become more. But yeah, so she's doing that. She's experienced transformation in her own journey. She wants to help other women gain that confidence and transformation, really be able to unveil their true selves and move forward in confidence, not relying on other people to feed them confidence, but really stand out themselves. And she helps many people do that through nutrition. And nutrition is honestly like one of the biggest parts of our lives. It's in every aspect of what we do. And if you aren't aware of that, then it probably means you don't have great nutrition. Then there's people like me who is aware of it, still don't care very much. So I'm just being honest with you guys. So I'm excited for this conversation because she's gonna drill sergeant me. No, I'm just kidding. She's like, no, that's not her. But tell us your story. Like, what did you do? Why did you get into the military to begin with? Like, what about the military was attractive to you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was 17 years old in high school, always sports, just kind of love the dynamic of the team aspect. And I knew I wanted a challenge in my life. And I also knew I wanted to go to college, and I didn't have a lot of money growing up. So I was like, well, how can I challenge myself? How can I pay for college? And then I just decided to join the Army. So I was, like I said, I was 17. I was a junior in high school. I had to have my parents sign a waiver with my recruiter in order for me to even go to join the Army. And not only did my recruiter have to talk my parents into letting me go, my grandmother, who is I look up to her so much, she had to be there. And I'm the oldest grandchild. I'm the oldest child of my family. So she had to be there, and she was like, this girl's she's not going to deploy. And anyway, needless to say, I ended up deploying, but the recruiter had to talk my grandma along with my parents into letting me join the Army at 17. it was quite an experience. He brought all this like Army swag, and he's like, she's not going to deploy. And then let's see, that was in 2002. I deployed in 2004 to Iraq.
Oh my gosh.
And my grandma was like, I'm going to write the president. Your recruiter said you're not going to deploy. I'm like, Grandma, it doesn't work that way. This is what I signed up for. I knew what I was signing when I signed that dotted line. And of course, this was all after 9/11. So I was that deployment. They were like, there's not very many females going. And I actually ended up being one of 5 females on this deployment. They're like, your daughter's not going to ever be on the front lines. I was a 50 cal gunner. I did kind of volunteer for it. So hopefully my parents and my family, my grandma does not ever listen to this, because I did volunteer. I thought, so women are amazing when it comes to being like noticing things out of the normal, right? And so they're like, women make great gunners. And so I volunteered. I was kind of voluntold, but I was like, they said a woman will be awesome at doing this. And I said, I'll do it. I would love to be that person. Anyway, I know that's not what we're here to talk about. But.
Absolutely is. I mean, I'm curious, how is, and you've been there for 18 years. Personally, I'm like, I tell people this, and I have zero shame telling this people, because I just really respect people who choose to be in the military. But when bullets start flying, I'm running the other way. Like, I'm not somebody who's going into this. But how has that changed? How have you seen it change as far as like the male female ratio in the military over the last 18 years? Like, how has that changed? How has everything changed to actually make that more suitable for everybody involved?
Well, so as of recently, we're actually getting a new PT test. And there is no male-female standard. So there's always been a different standard for the females. And, back, just until recently, women were never supposed to be on the front lines. And of course, that wasn't my job to be on the front lines. I more so volunteered for it. However, we did run convoy security. So we were in a frontline job because we were always leaving the gate. We weren't always on our FOB, like our base that we were stationed at. So we were technically in the front lines, but so women were never supposed to have those positions. And nowadays they're opening up so more women can. So, women can do special forces and just different roles that they never were able to in the beginning. So you still have, there's a lot of women that want to. So in order to do that, though, they do have to meet the male standards. And now like I said, they changed our PT test. So now it's, the standards are across the board, the same for males and females. And I think it's important that we all have the same standards and have to be able to do what the men can do, because when you're out there and put in those positions, you have to be able to carry, if somebody's injured, you have to be able to carry that person, or, you have to carry your own weight. You don't want other people to do the work for you. So I've seen a lot more women step up, and I think it's awesome, because I'm all for, women empowerment and women in taking charge and being leaders. And you've seen just recently, so many more women are standing up and taking these roles as leaders, and I love it.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I think this plays into the story. So I'm curious, what happened like before 17 that made you want to step into that type of role? Like, what was going on in your life that said, yeah, the military is a good option, right? I get it. You don't know what you're going to do, but I didn't know what I was going to do at 17, and I didn't go in the military. So what about this is like this attractive? What about Trista says this is somewhere I can be of service and value?
Oh my, well, like I said, I was always really into teams. And, but I wanted a challenge. So I've always been very driven since I was a child. Like I was a straight A student. I was very competitive. I always wanted to be the best at everything that I did. And so I think that's also why I joined the Army, is because I knew it would be hard. I wanted something to help me just better my life. And honestly, it's crazy to say this, but the Army has molded me into this person that I am today. Like most people, I mean, not a lot of people join the military when they're 17. Well, I take that back. There's a good amount, but there's only 1% of the population that make up the armed forces, the military. So it does take a special person, a special breed. I think, like you said, you're like, that's just not me. And a lot of people say, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't have somebody yelling at me. And I'm like, well, it's not. Yes, it is. Like people are yelling at you, but they're making you stronger. They're helping you break through these limiting beliefs that you don't, if you don't think you can do this, well, you can. And so like I said, I just always wanted to push myself and challenge myself. Plus, I wanted, back when I was in high school, I actually wanted to be an architect. And I'm like, how am I going to afford 6+ years of college? So the Army helped me pay for my schooling. Of course, I did 1 semester in the architecture program at the University of Utah and was like, this just isn't my calling anymore. And that's when I changed to fitness and nutrition. I know it's like completely opposite, but I was just home recently and my parents found all my designs. I designed my like dream home when I was 16 or 17 and I found it and I took pictures and I brought it home. I'm like, Ken, this is going to be our dream home. But it's awesome design. I was talented, but that definitely wasn't my calling anymore. So I changed my degree. But like I said, the Army paid for it. Thank goodness. I was smart and only took out the amount of student loans that the Army was going to pay back. They paid it all back. And here I am, debt-free and with a college degree.
No, that's awesome. And very, very well deserved. Like you're serving our country and I love that. So let's talk about a few things you mentioned there before we jump into your actual, what you're doing now. Because I think these are character traits that I want to pull out because this is what makes people who they are. And that's what I love about these conversations is, one, I get to know you, my clients better than I knew before because I actually find out exactly what they're doing. But I love what you said, that women, they have ability to notice things that are not in the normal. Like, how do you see that helping you as a mother and as a leader of your now clients and helping them grow and develop themselves? How is that skill applying to their growth?
Sorry, you kind of broke up at the very beginning. Did you say how? Rephrase just the very beginning of it.
Yeah. So how is the skill of noticing what's not in the normal? How is that helping you become a better mother or a better wife, a better human in society? And specifically, how is it helping you with your clients as you're helping them become more physically and nutritionally healthy?
Yeah. I think that it just helps bring awareness to these things. Cause let me think of how to word this. So women we're such caretakers, right? Like we always want to take care of everybody else and we always put ourselves last. And I think it's just really important that we understand that in order to fulfill all of our needs as a woman, or like duties, I guess maybe, is that we have to, first of all, take care of ourselves. And when we can show up our best for ourselves, then we can show up for others, right? So doing things for, being our best selves, we can be our best. Like I can be my best coach. I can show up the best for my husband. I can show up the best for my daughter and for everybody around me. So I feel like that really helps women. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that's important, is being able to recognize those roles. I'm curious because that spins off a whole. I go everywhere with many people, so just be okay with it. If you don't want to answer, I'm not answering that, Sam. Whatever. But So politically correctness is like a big problem right now. And this is, I mean, there's no way that you don't see this in the military where anybody can choose whatever gender they want. And anybody can decide they're a woman or a man, whatever day they decide, and they can flip flop on it. And it's all just, we have to accept whatever anybody says. So when we're talking about a woman and their roles or their duties or whatever, oftentimes I think just because of this societal, meaning behind words, then they think it comes across sometimes, and this is just based on my conversations with others, it comes across as though we're not really saying, well, the man has these duties. We've almost stopped defining what a man's duty is or what a man's responsibility is as a husband, father, and those roles, because they're so focused on helping a woman achieve her best and show up fully. So what's a good dichotomy? I mean, I know you and your husband. So what's a good dichotomy of like allowing you to show up fully in your power and accomplishing everything that you want to do, and allowing him to do what he wants to do and allow him the space to be a provider, even though you want to be a provider, you want to have all the income, you want to have a thriving business.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that he also doesn't feel put down and like allowed to be just as successful?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important to be on the same page. And there's definitely been times where him and I have not been on the same page. So it's been a work in progress, and we've been married for 10 years coming up this June. So I think it helps too that we've known each other before. So we were both in the Army. So we both are very strong individuals, and we both want to, take that masculine role, I guess, but just being open and honest with each other, knowing that, like, I know he needs to be the man in the relationship, and that fulfills him. So knowing what fulfills him helps me do fulfill my roles as well. So I'm trying to think of a good example. I guess I don't have a good example, but just the fact that I think we're aware of it. Ken has his own perspective on gender roles and everything right now. But as far as like our duties, we both want to be successful. So I think he really supports me, and I support him as well. So if we know what our goals are, we help support each other. And I think we take a pretty good 50-50 role in like taking care of the house, taking care of our daughter. Just communicating back and forth has really helped us be successful where we are right now.
That's awesome. I know I didn't even realize that I was taking my wife for granted when we first got married. We were still like, anybody who's newlywed without kids, you're basically still just two autonomous people who can come and go as you please. There's no responsibility really. Like if somebody's out a little bit later, yeah, you kind of want to know where they are because you love them and you want them to be with you. But like, there's nothing that's not being done because somebody is not at home. Then we had our first baby, and I was still just living my life as I always lived my life. But what didn't like really register to me is that my wife is the one who's stressing about the kid, making sure that he has a babysitter, all this stuff. And I'm just like living my life as if nothing happened. And it was probably 2 months in. She's like, hey, Sam, he's your kid too. Just so you know, like he's your kid. You're not a babysitter. You are his dad. And yeah. I'm not the only one that's expected to find somebody to babysit our child, right? If you want to go do something and I want to go do something, you are equally on the hook to find somebody to watch that kid as I am. And I was like, oh man, It's like, and it wasn't that I was maliciously doing it. It's not a natural instinct for me to care about those things. And it's not that I don't care about my kids or don't love them. It's just not something that I think about all the time. So it's communication. Just don't get offended when somebody calls you out, and that helps a ton.
Yes, definitely.
Helps me be happy. I'm curious, Trista. So we were in and around the same group, same events, multiple times before we ever actually even had a conversation. You had probably seen me speak, I don't know, 2 or 3 times by the time we ever had a conversation. Like, what was your first impressions of me as a person?
I really loved your, like when I'm trying to think of the first time you spoke, I think it was actually at Travis's house for a little just workshop. And I was like, man, this dude knows his stuff. But at the same time, like, so what drew me to you was like the stories that you told, and also just how confident you are with what you know, if that makes sense. So I just was like, man, I don't know. I don't know what there was. That's just what I saw and thought, I like someone who's going to be straight to the point, which you very much are, and confident about it. But then you do it in a very loving way too. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. Like, you're very inviting. And so that's what kind of drew me to you. I remember I came home. I don't even think I had talked to you. Like you said, I came home and I was like, so Ken, there's this guy, his name's Sam. And I was telling him about that you're in the financial industry and all this. And I was like, we need to talk to him. And so Ken was like, oh, is he a part of your program? And I was like, no, babe, this is something separate. He thought it was like included with my coaching. I was like, no, honey, this is something different. He's like, okay. And then I think he was the one that actually talked to you first, right?
Yeah, finally at the party, I was like, who are these? Because I've seen you guys on social media so much. I'm like, who are these guys? I see them around. I see them at the events that I'm speaking at, but I just have never had a conversation. It's like, let's find out who these people are. It was great. I'm curious because now you've gone full circle, right? Like, was your experience of what I could help you with the same as what you thought it would be when what I showed when I was speaking? It was like, oh yeah, that's Sam on stage. Is that congruent? Like, I want to hear what your experience.
Actually, I feel like when we got more one-on-one, I feel like you've helped us more than what I even expected. So I love that. Yeah, no, you fulfilled my expectations plus some.
That's good. Yeah, I'm just curious, like what my clients have experienced, because you just never know, especially if some people, they just want transactional business. Some clients, they just want to be transactional. And then other clients, they really want a relationship out of it. And you never know who you're dealing with. So you just kind of have to do your best to find out in the process. But yeah, so what you're doing right now is really what we want to talk about, though, because you went from this, and you're still in the military, but you decided and I'm going to fill in some of the story here, but you were working and thinking, well, we could keep working and pay for daycare, or I could be more of a stay-at-home role and we'd end up just as financially stable, but then you had more time to work on your business. And that's really the exciting part, is that you have more time to work on your business. So what is it that you're so passionate about? And like, I know you found this in college, right? You got your degree in it, but what made you decide, I don't want to work for another institution. I want to build my own business, my own brand, and really go after it and change more people's lives?
Yeah, well, it kind of all stems back to growing up, and my mom, I love her to death, but that poor woman has yo-yo dieted from the very beginning, like for as long as I can remember.
Explain yo-yo dieting, because there's people.
Oh yes, yeah. So yo-yo dieting is when it's like a serial dieter. So you're like, oh, hey, this so-and-so did this diet. I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to restrict everything. You have success, but then you go back to your normal life and you gain the weight right back. And then you're like, crap, now I need to do another diet. So then you're just continually dieting. But because of the ways you're doing these diets, they are not sustainable. And then you go back to eating like you were before the diet, and then you gain the weight back. So it's kind of yo-yoing back and forth. You lose the weight, you gain the weight, you lose the weight, you gain the weight. And so many women do this. So my mom has done this since as long as I can remember. Actually, I believe she was on her first diet when she was 12 years old. My grandmother put her on Weight Watchers because she was just a little on the chunky side, I guess, as a 12-year-old. Put her on a diet. And so I'm just very passionate about women loving their bodies and not feeling like they're on a diet. My mom even ran a diet center when I was growing up. So from the time from my littlest memories, my earliest memories, I remember her being on a diet, and then being unhappy with the way she looked. And so then that I was always unhappy with the way I looked. I dieted as well. I didn't know much about diet besides, don't eat. Like if you don't eat, you're going to stay skinny. That's kind of the route that I took when I was growing up. And of course I was super active. So I did a ton of sports to help me stay thin. So I ran cross country, track, I swam. I did cheerleading and dancing. I did everything. I tried everything. And then in high school, I stuck to like 4 main sports. But yeah, that's kind of what empowered me to do what I want, or to get into the fitness coaching. And just, I want to empower women to really love themselves on the inside so that they can portray that love and confidence on the outside. And I feel like that's what happens when you are healthy and you enjoy the road that you're taking for that healthy lifestyle.
So what I know this is like, everybody's going to have their own answer to this. This is what I'm asking you. I think everybody will. Maybe I'll find out differently. But what percentage of it is a mindset, like just believing that you can be thin? I know people who they are on the heavier side and they have this belief, like, and they tell themselves that, oh, I'm just heavier set. My parents were heavier set and my grandparents were heavier. And they're just like, my bones are bigger. This is just how my body is. I can't get over it. Do you think that's because they actually believe that? Or do you think they tell themselves that because they're unwilling to put in the effort? Like, what is it that, how much of their weight is literally just what they believe about themselves? Without any better nutrition, without any exercise, just simply like what they believe about themselves, period.
Oh, I honestly, I don't have a good number, but mindset is, it can make or break your fitness journey, right? So if you believe that you can't lose the weight, then you're not going to, and you're probably going to be someone who does a diet is like, oh, this isn't working. I'm miserable. I don't want to do this, and just can't get past that mindset. So I'm just going to inevitably, just be on the fat side or be unhealthy because I have big bones. My family's this way, yada, yada, yada. So whatever you believe is ultimately going to be your truth in the end. And if you can break through that mentality, just because your family is on the heavier side, you don't have to be. So Ken, for example, a good portion of his family is overweight, and that is part of his reason to be healthy, is because like, my whole family is overweight, my whole family has knee problems, my whole family has these health problems, heart problems. And he doesn't want to follow in their footsteps. So now that pushes him to be healthier. So if you believe that you can be healthy and break through that mindset, then you can achieve it. And I try to do it in the most minimal way possible so that you're still enjoying the process as you're doing it.
You're sure you're going to enjoy it? No, I'm just kidding. I believe
yes.
So
that's my ultimate goal, is for people to love the lifestyle and make these healthier choices to fit their lifestyle. So I don't do an all or nothing mindset. Everything I do is flexibility. So like 80% you're being consistent. You're eating foods that are going to fuel your body. And then the other 20% of the time, that's when you can eat foods that you enjoy, whether that's a donut or a cupcake or pizza. Like, we're going to figure out how to fit those foods into your lifestyle so you don't feel miserable.
Yeah. Pizza's my, I do get tired of it occasionally, but I have to eat a lot of pizza before I get tired of pizza. Like, I love pizza. So if there's a way to make that healthier to where it's like 100% healthy, that would be awesome. But then probably it wouldn't taste as good. So no. I just don't try. Like, I like it the way it is. How like, if somebody was going to work with you, what does that process look like to, like, from, I say beginning to end? I don't really know that there's such a thing as an end when you're talking about nutrition or health. Like, you always seem to be focusing on it. So there's not like a beginning to end necessarily. But like, what does that process look like from both the mentality side, the nutrition side, and the exercise side? Like, what does that look like for them?
Yeah. So whenever I start working with someone, we take a deep dive and look at their lifestyle right now. So we kind of audit how things are going, their work schedule, their spouse, their children, the things that they do, foods that they love, foods that they dislike and will not eat. So I take all of that into account. And then what I'm passionate about is I like to meet them in the middle. So if somebody is like, I don't work out ever, I've never counted a calorie in my life, I've done meal plans, I meet them in the middle and I say, okay, well, realistically, how many days a week can you work out? And they're like, I want to work out 5. I'm like, we're not going to work out 5 days a week to start off with. You can work out 2 to 3. We're going to gradually add in like some movement. I'm going to have you start tracking your food to see, because we need to have a starting place. So I have them start tracking their foods, bring awareness to the foods that they're eating, how that makes their body feel. So that's, bringing in that mindset aspect of it. Like, how do you feel when you're eating? Why are you eating these foods? Are you hungry? Or are you just bored? There's a lot that goes on. Everything that we do these days is based around food, right? If we're happy, we're going to eat. If we're celebrating something, we're going to eat. If we're sad and we're depressed, we're going to eat. So there's so many emotions that are involved with eating. So we're just bringing awareness to those things. So once we kind of meet in the middle, then that's when we kind of just start gradually adding on certain habits. And as we do that, then we start breaking through these limiting beliefs that they can't do it, that diets suck, because that's what people think. This isn't a diet, this is a lifestyle. And then as these, beliefs are no longer their beliefs and they are enjoying what they're doing, then the weight starts coming off. We get a little bit more not strict, but I do a macro-based program. So that's your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. And that's everything that all your foods are made up of: carbs, fats, and proteins. And so we start tracking those. And so everything that we do is based on your goals. So your nutrition is going to fit your physical goals in the long run. And over time, then you start seeing the results and the weight starts falling off, your mindset changes, and then you start believing in yourself and that you can do this, and then it helps with the process.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that. So you mentioned your emotions lead to eating, like, and our environment structured around that. What percentage? Again, I don't know if there's percentages or how often, but how much do you think the food we eat actually affects our emotions, right? So it's either like a downward spiral or an upward spiral, where it's like, hey, because I chose to eat healthy, now I actually am happier, I feel better, so now I'm not going to want to eat unhealthy because I actually can think clearly again. Whereas when I had this experience, this is a silly experience, but I'll share it. So yes. When I was 17, I did some really dumb things. One dumb thing I'm not going to talk about here on the podcast, but it was a really dumb thing. And the next morning, I really felt like the worst, regretted it. So like I just felt so dumb. And then I had to go mow a lawn for a friend. So I was out there, I was mowing this lawn. Well, while I'm riding this lawnmower, just because my head is still 100% in what happened last night, I'm still doing my work, but just not there. Run over this stump. The lawnmower is broken, right? So now I've got to fix the lawnmower. And so my day is just like regret, shame, guilt, all those things goes into this. Now I just broke somebody's lawnmower. I don't necessarily have the money, but I have to use the money now that I have to fix their lawnmower because it's not their fault that I broke the lawnmower. So now I'm out money. And then on my way home, I'm like, well, my life just sucks right now. So I stopped by the Maverick and I got a 44-ounce Dr. Pepper, which is like this massive jug of Dr. Pepper. And on a 15-minute car ride back to my house, I downed the whole thing. And I just felt terrible. Like it was just this cycle of I started off feeling bad, and it just like the whole thing was it was terrible. I just needed to go sleep off everything and start again. But I think that those negative source feelings led me to do something to my body, taking in certain, we'll call them chemicals, but certain crap into my body that just was not good for me, because it like matched the energy that I was vibrating in. Like feeling even worse matched that energy. And so it almost led me to inflict food pain into myself because it matched the energy pain. So talk about that dichotomy, because I think there's probably a lot of people, especially if you're a mom, or you're a husband, dad, who isn't being, because you suck at communication, I believe it's on you, right? Then you don't feel like you're being appreciated, whatever it is. You're a daughter, son who feels like they're overlooked, whatever it is. You're in a position where you have these feelings, and then you use food as a way to, in my opinion, I think it's to validate how you're feeling emotionally. Now you feel that way physically. It's no better or worse than like being a cutter. And that's not to speak lightly of that, but it's the same. It's self-harm. You're intentionally hurting your body, but your gut instead of maybe your outward self. So talk about that dichotomy. How can we help somebody through that mentality without, like, just get out of it? Because it's hard. It's hard to communicate. I know for myself, it would have been hard to say, hey, Sam, don't do that. I'm like, I don't freaking care. Screw the world. I'm doing it. So how do you help somebody pass that?
Oh, that's really hard, because like you were saying, it can lead to a downhill spiral. So I feel like the more we are aware of the foods that make us feel better, then we're going to choose those foods more often, because so you have to, when you think of food, you have to think of it as fuel. And if you change your mindset to think I'm fueling my body like you would a car, like your car needs fuel in order to drive, well, your body needs fuel in order to function properly. And like you were saying, you ate crap the night before and then had that, a bad day. And then you were like, oh, I'm going to have this Dr. Pepper. And then you felt like crap because you're on this sugar high, and then you're going to, increase all of your levels, and then it's going to drop. You're going to just have that sugar crash. So that's very, very typical. It's like you said, it's a hard balance to break, but just changing your mindset that food is really a fuel. It's fueling your body. And that's why we try to get rid of that restriction mindset, because sometimes you do want to have, that Dr. Pepper, or you do want to have something. We're not eating it because of our emotions. We're eating it because it's something that we enjoy, and we're not trying to take the enjoyment out of food, because food is fun. You're, like I said, you celebrate, like whenever you have a birthday party, you have cake and ice cream. It's just learning that if I eat all of the cake and ice cream, I'm going to feel like crap the next day. So one thing I do a lot with my clients is I have them journal. I don't have all my clients do this. It's just a select few. And the reason I have them do that is so that we can figure out the emotions that are leading to their triggers. Because there's foods that are going to trigger people. We all have our own trigger foods. So you said you love pizza. And if you're going to eat pizza, if you can't just have one or two slices of pizza, you're going to eat the whole thing, and then you're going to feel like crap. Because if you eat one or two, you're going to be fine. But if you eat the whole thing, you're going to feel sluggish. You're going to just feel, you're probably going to have digestive issues as well because of all the crap, cheese and fat and stuff that's in there. So just really bringing awareness to why you're eating these things, and having not a restriction, but just having a little bit of self-control and not going crazy. And that's why some people can't. So in the beginning, sometimes we have to get rid of those trigger foods because they cannot control it. So some women that can be with, I don't know, like cookies. Say a cookie is your trigger food, then let's just get rid of the cookies for now. And we're going to eventually build up to the point where we can have a cookie without eating the whole box of cookies. But sometimes you have to get rid of it altogether because we're aware of this now. And that's the biggest point, or the most important part is bringing awareness to what is causing your downhill spiral. And also when you eat so many times I hear my clients say, when I eat healthy, I feel better. I have better workouts. And then when I have the better workout, it makes me want to fuel myself with healthier foods afterwards. So if you can stay on top of the feelings that you feel good when you're doing, eating healthier foods and fueling your body, then it does help too. But enjoying those foods every now and then is not a bad thing either.
Yeah, it's funny that, so in my experience, I can just, again, I only have my experience really to talk about, but when I work out, I do choose to feel to eat healthier. I do, however, know people who they work out as justification to eat crappier. Like, well, yeah. I worked out today, so I get to eat all this. It's like, I feel like it's an outlier opinion, but maybe I'm not in the space. So I feel like that's an outlier opinion, but maybe it's not. I don't know.
No, a lot of people. So to be honest, I've been a personal trainer for 12 years, and I've had clients. So being a personal trainer, you can give some nutrition advice, but it's a lot harder to give them like a diet, or, well, you're not supposed to give a diet unless you are a certified or a registered dietitian. And so being a trainer, I just focused on the workout aspect. And I had one client who told me, like, straight up, I only work out so I can eat what I want. And I love chocolate, and I'm going to have chocolate every single day. So, like, backstory on her, I trained her from 2007 until just recently. She just actually moved. And so I trained her at the gym twice a week, 2 to 3 times a week, up until, 2007 until it was 2019. So 12 years.
12 years. I
trained her for 12 years. She didn't gain any weight. She didn't lose any weight, but that was her goal. So I'm like, okay. And then last summer, she came to me and she said, I think she was borderline being pre-diabetic. And that's when she was like, oh, I actually want to get my eating in control. And I helped her lose 30 pounds from June until January. So in 7 months, we lost 30 pounds. And all it was, well, at first we cut the chocolate out because I was like, well, that's your trigger. So we've got to cut we've got to cut the chocolate. And so that was really hard for her. She was addicted to chocolate. And like you were saying, like with cutting, food is addictive. Sugar is addictive, and it can be a problem. So we cut it out. A lot of people cannot go cold turkey. So honestly, you have to start tapering your intake, but she wanted to cut it cold turkey. So we did. She lost like 5 pounds initially just from cutting chocolate out of her diet. And then from there, we had to just gradually add in some changes to her diet, and she started eating healthier. And she was like, oh, I feel so much better. I can work out better and longer. I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. My hair and nails are growing better. My skin looks better. And I'm like, those foods are okay because we enjoy them as humans. We love I don't know many people that dislike chocolate or pizza or any of those foods that are deemed, like, most people deem them as bad foods. And my goal is to educate my clients and people around me that there's no good or bad foods. There's foods that are better for fueling your body, and foods that are going to make you feel a little more sluggish, but you can eat them. And we'll find a way to fit them into your program if that's what you want. So needless to say, she lost all this weight and felt amazing. Now she can have chocolate, but it doesn't overdo it. And just by bringing that awareness, it helped her so much. And she's completely changed her mindset around nutrition, and she's kept that 30 pounds off. So I'm super proud of her. She moved, but she still keeps in contact with me, and she's doing awesome. So.
Yeah, I love that. I think a big thing there, and this happens in every industry, every coaching industry. Like I said, I help people with finances, but everybody does different things, right? And and it's the same for me working with Trista as Trista working for her clients, right? You can work with somebody for 12 years and see no changes, see no difference, and it's just like, why am I even paying you? What's the benefit, right? And especially in the coaching industry, people have that opinion all the time, like, oh, you were supposed to do whatever for me. And the reality is, Trista is not the one that's on trial here, right? The question is, are you ready and willing to do what's necessary to get the results? Because Trista was the same coach as she was 10 years ago as she is today. I mean, she's grown a lot. She's learned more. She's helped more people, right? So not that she hasn't changed, but it wasn't that she wasn't able to help her client 12 years ago lose 30 pounds. It was that her client wasn't ready to take it seriously. And so often we get stuck in our lives where we expect the government or we expect other people to do things for us rather than say, hey, if it's to be, it's up to me, and actually put in the work ourselves. You could have a world-class trainer. You could have Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, what's the football coach, man? I don't know. We'll say Tom Brady. You could have any of these people, and they could come and try and teach you how to be successful and have you run all their drills and everything. But if you're not committed to it, it doesn't matter. So the point there is be committed, and Trista can absolutely help those who are committed. And she'll work with you if you're not committed, but it's just, you're not going to get the results that you want, right? So
that's right.
How does somebody actually get in touch with you if they're like, hey, I live, well, first, do you do online and in-person coaching, or is it just if they live close to you, you can help them?
Oh, no, I do online and in person. So I have my own little studio at my house that we built 7 years ago. And so I have my own little studio, but also I can help people worldwide. I have clients all over the country, so I do online coaching as well. And I'm able to do that through my own fitness app. So they get their workouts, they get demonstrations of their workouts, which is really cool. So it makes it super user-friendly, and you don't have to have me there, telling you exactly what to do. Being actually doing it online, I feel is so much more beneficial than just of course it's great to see me in person, because who wouldn't want to see me in person?
Absolutely.
But online, I feel like I can just provide even that much more value, because I can do education over, we do weekly check-ins. So that's how I keep on track of my clients' progress. So they get, their workouts, their nutrition. They have pretty much 24/7 access to me through the app. And we do not weekly calls, but bi-weekly calls as well. So we do goal setting, and then we do Q&As. I help them with whatever they're having issues with. So I've created a community of my clients so that they have others to help support them along their journey as well. Because I feel if you have others there to support you, you're going to be even more successful in your journey, instead of just me being like a drill sergeant. Hey, do this, do this, do this. It's like we all come together and we want to help each other succeed and reach our goals. So. Yeah,
I love that. I think community is such a big thing. So where do they find you? Is there a website, social media links? What's the best place to get a hold of you?
So the best place to reach me is social media. Right now, my website is under maintenance, so hopefully it'll be up and ready soon. But my social media, Instagram is Trista_Harrison. And Facebook is Trista Kelly Harrison. And then I also have a couple of groups too, where I provide a lot of free value, lots of information on, flexible dieting, workout tips, motivation, mindset tips as well. And that's the Fit Life SLC Tribe Facebook group.
Yeah, you got to check that group out. She has her husband come on there, and Ken is awesome. So you got to meet Ken. He's incredible. And a big part of that is just, they're just seeing two powerful people work together and create together is always, it's a joy for me. I love seeing it. And I love seeing people just reach their goals and go for it. And so not only do you get a lot of immense value from a nutrition and fitness perspective, both of them, Ken's not a fitness instructor, right? But he's been in the military as long or longer. He's been in the Army for 19 years. I've been in for 18.
And so Ken has had his own transformation as well. So when we first met, he was actually 30 pounds heavier well, he lost 30 pounds when we first started dating, and just through changing his nutrition and starting to work out. So, I mean, obviously he knew how to work out because of the Army, but that's why nutrition is so important, is that's when the weight's actually going to drop. I mean, of course, being healthy and working out is great for it is a great step, but it's the nutrition and the mindset that's going to really help you propel and see the success and reach your goals.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we have 2 sections left on our podcast, and they're my favorite ones. So the next section is called Legacy on Rapid Fire. Okay, so we're going to ask 5 questions, 1 word, 1 sentence answers, and Legacy on Rapid Fire starts now. What do you believe is holding you back from reaching the next level of your legacy today?
For me. Oh, I need to speak up more.
There you go. Be present. Speak up more. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the hardest thing you've ever accomplished?
Having a child.
I will never get the opportunity to accomplish that.
But it's also the most rewarding too.
Okay. That's good. Because I mean, that's the next question. What's the greatest success at this point in your life?
Yeah, being a mom. I love it.
That's awesome. And what if you were to say you have like, hey, there's one secret that you believe contributes the most to your success over life and business, parenting, what do you think that one attribute is, or that one habit?
Having a positive mindset, positivity.
Positivity. Love it. Mm-hmm. If you were to recommend like a book or a program, YouTube video, whatever, to the Fuel Your Legacy audience, what would it be?
You Are a Badass by, I think it's Jen Sincero.
Yep, I believe so.
Yes. I love that book.
I haven't read that one in a while.
Me either. I need to go reread it. I guess it's been 4 years, but that's
So
it's been a while.
Funny story about her. I was in Orem Barnes and Noble here, and she was doing like her book signing thing, and it was pretty funny. She is just as blunt in person as she is in the book. There are people who are like lining up asking questions, and I don't think she was being mean intentionally. She's just really straight up with people, and it was comical. And thankfully everybody like loved the book, so they were all excited to like hear her just slap them basically. And it was just really funny. She's very blunt. But she wants to help you. That's the biggest thing, is when you're working with people, you mentioned it in drill sergeants, right? When they can be blunt, they can be direct, they can be, hey, this is the facts, and it can still come across loving if that's the intention, and that both parties know that the purpose of the communication is to help them improve. It's not to just be high-mighty and say, hey, you suck at life, and so this is why I'm telling you how to improve. It's, hey, I care about you. I want you to grow. I want you to become better. This is why I'm pushing you this hard. This is why I'm yelling at you to do one more push-up or cut chocolate out of your diet, whatever, right? Whatever it is. I love it. So here's the last question. This is, what legacy are you building? So we got to pretend that you've died. You have the opportunity to come back and see your great-great-great-grandchildren sitting around a table discussing Trista's life. Okay, what do you want them to be saying about your legacy, what you accomplished, and how you impacted the world?
So it kind of goes back to that positivity. Like, I want to create a life where everybody is positive, sees the glass half full, is going to work, have a good hard work ethic. And because of that, they're going to reap the benefits of just always going for what they want, being positive about it, and knowing that they can achieve what they put their minds to.
Love it. I love it. And it's going to happen. So I'm excited to have this, have other people go join her. She actually has a webinar as well. I'll put the link to her free webinar there in the show notes. She's got tons of online content that's free on top of what you can, if you want direct coaching and mentorship, then she'll help you with that as well. So go check her out on the links. They're in the show notes. And thank you so much, Trista, for taking the time out of your busy day to spend time with us here on the podcast.
Yes, thank you. This was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun too.
That's what we try to do. We'll catch you guys next time on Fuel Your Legacy Show. Thanks for joining us. If what you heard today resonates with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me. And if you do give me a shout out, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Thanks to all of those who've left a review. It helps spread the message of what it takes to build a legacy that lasts. And we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy.